Good morning, Karen. Good morning, Dr. Alabi. Have we started? I cannot hear anything on my end.
drive innovation, research capacity. Graduates are equipped to tackle the complex challenges. Our students. At a national level, ladies and gentlemen, innovation has remained one of the cardinal points. National transformation strategy aimed innovating for this innovation as an enabler for sustainable economic emphasis on increased investment in science, technology, and innovation be achieved through educational reforms, research capabilities, and digital transformation, and also creating. This is achievable. The investment of the art, ICT, and increase the access. It is worth noting that the Global Innovation Index last year, which is published by the World Intellectual Property Organization, points a glimpse of promising future African growth. Out of 132 countries assessed, only 9 African countries are in the top, namely Mauritius ranked at 50, Africa at 50, Botswana at 50, Egypt at 80, Bebe at 9, Senegal, Namibia, Ghana. What we could easily do, Africa and Israel, need to celebrate that we are. When I was in upper primary, in lower primary, I wasn't a very intelligent. In fact, getting a D was. So I remember one time, we were looked by our teacher because self and a friend were arguing who would take the title. So you could see that all the West scenarios, they will always. What we have achieved, far, far below. I looked last night, top 10 countries largely in you. Yet we do have an abundance of knowledge, research, and education in the Africa. Something is wrong. Close to that I have seen is our inability to manage our own data. Because part of our ranking is largely dependent on documented data that we do. I firmly believe that there is a that is going around, either taken for granted or just feeling that it is not thinking. Be a statement. This ranking is assessed in terms of 7 factors. First, the third factor is institutions. That is our institutional environment, data environment, business environment. Secondly, importantly, why we are here. Human capital and research, emphasizing on education, particularly in our tertiary education, research and development, which I think our colleagues. Third factor is infrastructure, that is information and communication, general infrastructure, sustainability. Fourthly, market sophistication, to credit, investment and trade, and market. 2 months I've been doing some work. I realized that more than 20 years, Botswana's FDI has been convinced that our investment only in technology, any sphere of biggest person, get another, but the one. Yes, the target is all. But want to do something, change it. The fifth factor is business sophistication. That is knowledge of organization linkages. I think that knowledge so why we are here. Also knowledge and technology output, emphasizing on knowledge in what we are missing. That's the level of assess impact from in the sense that just level of sight. It is to sight. So I think it is a mismatch. Say that your state has a want to see what community, which is that. Therefore, innovation is an ecosystem as well as a value chain activity. Cannot address the challenges of Africa, limiting ourselves to the innovation itself, but to a host of environmental and product or service innovation and firms forward and utilize, so optimize institutions or community. Allow me to also address the issue of sustainability. Because sustainability is another pillar of shall we see sustainable development, not only a buzzword. MC, conservation means meeting today's needs without jeopardizing the needs of the future generation. And this has historically been well conserved in the African continent, particularly as it relates to land. Because as I will argue later, conservation is about land. If we miss land, we are not conserving. For instance, in their article, Totem Taboos and Sacred Places, an analysis of Karanga people's environmental conservation and management, Clemens and Chimere observed that in the Karanga environmental perspective, land belongs to the living, the unborn, and the dead. These commitments are shared by Douglas Moyalula, who cited Nigerian chief submission at the West African Land Commission in 1912, that the land belongs to the vast family, of which many are dead, few are living, and countless members are yet to be born. In Douglas' view, land belongs to some group, be it a household, a chiefdom, community, or even a combination of these groups, whether the living dead, or the unborn. Conservation in Africa, conservation in my view, is Africa's new struggle for land. And it seeks to protect those who are still alive, and it gives assurance to the living dead about meeting the future of their descendants yet to be born. That's the way I see conservation in Africa. And it is done by a multiple actors in a continuum of the unborn, the living, and the dead. And in African context, when they say the living dead, we firmly believe that our ancestral spirits are watching over us. Be it in Nigeria, be it in any African country you would go to, that belief does exist. So they would be so worried about our mismanagement of land that jeopardizes the opportunities of those that we are still to give birth to. Therefore, sustainability requires that we also think beyond environmental protection. We must focus on social and economic sustainability, ensuring that the solutions we design create value for communities, generate employment, and foster inclusivity. I think that we have seen in many African communities that the problems with unemployment subsequently
create environmental degradation. So environmental degradation, to a certain extent, comes out of our inabilities to create new opportunities, particularly for our rural communities. Botswana has more than 30% unemployment of young people. And we always say it is a time bomb, looking at the political and the economic sphere. But it is equally a time bomb looking at the environmental issues that we face. Because no man would want to starve of hunger when there is something that he can make use of to live longer, even if it means a day. As we shape the next generation of engineers, we must instill in them the understanding that their work should not only evolve or solve technical problems, but also address social inequalities and contribute to the economic empowerment of our communities. This holistic approach is in line with the broader goal of the University of Botswana, where sustainability and inclusive development are key components of our mission. The reshaping of our educational curricula to reflect these principles of innovation and sustainability is critical. The university, particularly through the Faculty of Engineering and Technology, is undergoing a transformation to make our educational offerings more interdisciplinary and practically oriented. This means combining traditional engineering disciplines with emerging fields like environmental sciences and data analytics and the social sciences, because I think the outcome of all we do as engineering has a human relevance. Hence, the social sciences is a relevant subdiscipline that we inculcate. Our students need to understand not only the technical aspects of their work, but also its societal impacts. We believe that the interdisciplinary approach is essential for producing graduates who can think critically, innovate, and collaborate effectively across sectors. Yet, we must acknowledge the challenges. African educational institutions, including our very own MADCOL, face resource constraints such as limited funding, inadequate infrastructure, and shortages of qualified academic staff. However, these challenges do not diminish our resolve. Rather, they inspire us to find innovative or more innovative solutions. One such solution is collaboration, both locally and internationally. The University of Botswana has made significant strides in forging partnerships with institutions, industries, and research organizations that can help bridge these gaps. For instance, the presence of key stakeholders from the Human Resource Development Council, Botswana Qualification Authority, Engineers Registration Board, and our international partners underscores the importance of these collaborations in enhancing our educational offering. These partnerships are vital not only for resource sharing, but also for knowledge exchange. The public training workshop that is scheduled for tomorrow, led by Dr. Mugayegi from the University of the West of England, and Dr. Safari from Mintech, South Africa, on repositioning engineering and built-in education, built environment education in Africa for innovative research and development, employability and entrepreneurship is a prime example. Such initiatives provide our students and faculty with access to global best practices while allowing for the adaptation of these ideas to local context. Ultimately, our efforts to integrate technological innovation and sustainability into engineering education will have a lasting impact on the future of Africa and the future of Botswana as well. These efforts align with the global push to achieve the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, particularly those related to clean energy, sustainable cities, and climate action. By preparing our students with the skills and knowledge to contribute to these goals, we are positioning them to lead the way in creating a more sustainable, equitable, and prosperous future for all. In conclusion, MC, the University of Botswana is committed to integrating innovation and sustainability into our education system, and this is an unwavering commitment. We understand the responsibility we bear in shaping the future of our graduates and by extension, the future of Botswana and Africa as a whole. Through our collaborative efforts, we will continue to lead the way in transforming engineering and built-in education, ensuring that our students are not only prepared to succeed, but to make a lasting impact on their communities and the world. I thank you.
Thank you very much, sir, for this powerful presentation. Before we move to the next section, I would like to inform us that there's a refreshment outside here, particularly for our visitors, in case you want to, you need some refreshment. And also, the restroom is when you go out here on your left-hand side, so you can make use of that. I would also like to invite the Deputy Dean to introduce our panelists for us. And the moderators, let me quickly introduce them, who happens to be my colleagues. Please, like to invite Dr. Philip Adewi and also Dr. Umtsene. Please kindly come up. Yes, sir, please.
Director of Ceremonies, I thought we were going for a cup of tea first. How is it going to do it? Are we going to start with the panel and then cup of tea or what?
Okay, I think maybe for the cup of tea first.
According to the program. What do you think? Is it ready?
Yes, yes. Yeah, just here. You can.
Yeah, maybe let's go for a cup of tea for, I can see it says how many minutes? 30 minutes?
10 minutes.
10 minutes for a cup of tea. At least I can give you 5 more minutes.
Okay.
Because we finished early in time. So by 1:15, we start. Thank you.
Time. Yeah, I was just giving a yeah. Okay.
Let's get one else. We can put
You leave it at that.
something Oh, brother, how are you?
How are you?
Good day.
Good day.
Long time.
Hey.
Yeah.
Nice.
That's all right.
So.
Yes, that's
Yeah,
right.
I want to know Balik.
Hey,
So is doing it as part of the structuring as long term.
Yeah, same.
Joint again?
Oh, no.
No. Well, I meant to check first. I did. Oh, it disappeared.
So I just.
Yeah.
Just results.
Okay.
That keeps on.
I have another statement.
Okay.
I just wanted to get out of.
Take some time.
Oh, sorry. I used to do this. Things. Still running, but you're on it now. Yeah. So try to leave. Try to leave. It's what's gonna happen. If I leave, then
You need to do that. They're meeting. There is the part of the district.
you see the tone with me. Because if you mind running. No, I think I want to see if she leaves. After doing that, does it add to the because then meeting. Yeah. So running.
It's frozen.
What's frozen?
That's it.
Still running. Okay, who's it recording? Yes. Okay. What I think we might want to try and do, we got mic one. If we said, oh, padre pensa che non penso.
But we should.
Yes, we had to communicate the Indians now. But the camera?
They use the time to
Change the camera.
the whole
Just turn on the camera.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They trying to use, but
It's good for the budget.
why?
Fucking they were emphasizing when it's presenting.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, true. But
Doesn't have an option for camera. I don't know where the camera is just control.
that's one of the ways.
Oh, I see.
No.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. I didn't know. So we can go back to this, right? Yes, yes, yes.
Right, may I call the meeting to order, please? We are now moving into the third lab, where we are going to be getting to the panel discussion. The topic of which is positioning Africa for sustainable futures, reshaping engineering and built environment higher education through knowledge and technological innovations. And we've got the moderators, Dr. Adiwe. Is he ready for moderating? Yes, there he is. And Dr. Mtweni, I think are readily available. Now, what I'm going to do is now to invite the panelists. The first one being myself. I'll sit down and sneak out. And the second one being Professor Musima Koko from BQA. Has she arrived? Or any representation from BQA? No. The following Dr. Fernando Siamisa of HRDC. I think you'll see the names are well appended by the board in front there. Engineer Dennis Olauze from ERB. May I kindly invite you to come to the front. And Miss Matilda Mutei from Quantity Surveying our Consultancy. There she comes. And then Engineer Padma from Knight Pessold Consulting. And then Professor Kathy Michelle from HEPSSA UCT. And Mr. Timon Kilebe from Botswana Institute of Geomatics. Oh, you are there, sir. Thank you. And then Engineer Uthabing from ASAP. I can see the chair seems to be making someone. So these are your panelists. And as I said, I'll just sit down to warm my chair and then disappear in a few minutes and I'll join you later. Over to you, moderators. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, I want to welcome our panelists for this important discussion. And like the core of this discussion is bridging technological innovation and knowledge gaps. So since the representative of HRDC is not here, maybe I need to start with BQ.
BQ is not here, HRDC.
Oh, okay, that's good. So can you just briefly take us through the mandate of HRDC and how it keys into engineering and the built environment?
Did you say? Am I loud enough? Right. As introduced, my name is Fernando Siamisa. I come from Human Resource Development Council. And today I'm coordinating human resource development planning for the country. Briefly, our mandate. We were established by an Act of Parliament in 2013 together with our twin sister or twin brother, Botswana Qualification Authority. We share the same fence. They're going to tell me why they are not here. I'll give myself those powers. But so that you don't confuse our mandates are complementary. We are responsible for planning human resource development and funding human resource development. And BQA is responsible for accreditation of qualification and programs. And before they do that, they use our plans to check whether their programs are aligned to what our plans are saying. And are also responsible for accrediting their programs in their national qualification credit framework. And once they've done that, they monitor whether you implement according to their accreditation. But going back specifically to HRDC, how do we plan human resource development for the country? We developed the National Human Resource Development Strategy, and that's the Bible showing or guiding human resource development across all sectors, starting with education and training and all economic sectors, mining, agriculture, etc. And we also developed the sector human resource development plans so that every sector can map the skills that they need. Once those have been developed, we fund, as you know, we have to continually develop our workforce to make sure that they are relevant. And we use the Human Resource Development Fund. That's a levy where the private sector pays, the money goes to BRS, and then they train their employees. Once they've been trained, they are reinvest. So that is a fund to promote, if I may use the language that is common in education and training, continuous professional development. You know better that technology is evolving every day, and hence that's why we need to continually train employees. And then the other funds are still with the ministry. The common one is the one that is responsible for you being here. Now I'm taking to my dear students, is the Students Tertiary Education Fund. It's at DTEP, and that's the one that we use to make sure that all our learners are taken care of. And then the Public Tertiary Fund is still with the ministry. That is the one that gives grants to UB and the TVET institutions so that they can operate well. So in a nutshell, that's our mandate for HRDC. I'm quite sure I'll come on later. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Siamison. Maybe quick level, I would like to invite the councils being ERB, QSRC, ASEV, and then Botswana Institute of Geomatics to quickly introduce their mandate. I'll start with ERB.
Hello. Okay, thank you very much, and good morning, ladies and gentlemen. That's my name. Engineers Registration Board's sole responsibility is to regulate the conduct and activities of engineers in Botswana. So as you can imagine, anything engineering that happens in Botswana, we have the mandate to regulate. And in terms of the value chain, obviously it has to start from the learning of engineering programs themselves, up to professionals upon graduation and as they do engineering work. The main functions being to improve the quality of engineering in the country and to protect the welfare and interest of the public. So we regulate for the benefit of the public. In a nutshell, I think I can quickly summarize it as that. And obviously, if I can just talk to one issue to say, even though the name says registration board, we are not only about registration. That's the fact I want to clarify. We are about regulating the industry, not registering engineering professional. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Engineer Lautze. KSRC.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Matilda McKay, and I'm the current Vice Chairperson for the Quantity Survey and Registration Council. And like ERB, Quantity Surveyors Registration Council is a regulatory body which regulates the quantity surveying profession. We were established with an act of parliament, and our mandate is to regulate and make sure that the professionals in the quantity surveying profession deliver the services that they offer to the public accordingly. We don't only look after the professionals, but we are mandated to also look after the public at large to make sure that the services that they receive from our members are in orderly and that our members conduct themselves orderly in the public as they provide these services. Thank you.
Thank you, Mama Kay. Geomatics, and lastly, ASAP.
Victims protocol observed is coming living. You can hear me at the back? Thank you. Yeah, this is coming living from the Botswana Institute of Geomatics. The current president of the Botswana Institute of Geomatics is Reshaping surveyor and a GIS expert. Briefly, what I can say on the surveying part, when we talk about geomatics, really is a multi-disciplinary profession that covers surveying. Thank you. Geomatics really it covers surveying, mapping, geographic information systems, remote sensing, mine survey. So basically surveying, what I can tell you is the foundation of all projects. For you to start any project, you need a surveyor. We are sitting here because at some point, University of Botswana plot was well defined. So as a registered surveyor, what you do find a point being each corner of that land parcel and direction and distance between all those points. They should be well defined. So that's why I'm just telling you what is the foundation of touching a land. Before you touch a land to do anything, the first person you need there is a land surveyor. So those who are within the profession of geomatics, you should understand that you are very, very vital. Surveying profession will never end. In the sense that, as we see around the country, any conflict, when you research and check, likely to be the issue of land. But at some point, someone did not do a very good job. You define the land, even in this country, you have to do it such that there is no encroachment. When you can't define the land and tomorrow somebody is overlapping with another person. That's part of cadastral survey. So you have to be a proper cadastral survey for your land to be well defined. And then you have to, for all engineers, whenever they have to design a road, being a line data in terms of road network or being a land parcel, the first person you need there is a surveyor. So basically, what we should all understand here is that the profession of surveying will always be there because you need it to define your land. So engineers, as we have been discussing, when it comes to topographic survey, we need to be able to tell what it's this land, the elevations and everything, is it in the platform that we are able to do. We have been talking about the shortage of employment in this country. But when you look at it, is the issue of employment. The employment, the private sector have to have a good talk with the government such that they understand the concept of the land. Because by so doing, any project that you do, you are bringing those graduates to the employment sector. So we need to discuss how we share it, how we share data. Data sharing. Data sharing in other countries is something that is always there. It's managed by information system. We have what is called GIS-enabled information system. GIS-enabled information system is whereby when you have a platform, you are able to share that data. But that is subject to discussion. Subject to discussion in such a way that how are we going to improve and be innovative in Africa to be able to share that data? Because even right now, it is still very difficult. When we say I need information, let's say from the land board, it won't be easy for you even to get that information. You will have a very big hazard to even get that data.
Thank you, Rekilevin. I think we'll get more into the details as we.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Engineer Saving, please.
Thank you. My name is Motsaving, professional engineer and secretariat with HEPSSA. HEPSSA standing for Association of Consulting Engineers Botswana. We are not a regulated body, but we are a non-profit organization. I hope you guys understand what that means. So our basic mandate is actually to, represent our consulting members, consulting engineering members, who are members with us at both national and international level in regards to engineering affairs. So we do travel around the world and we engage with these other communities and organizations, and we bring those ideas here. One of them being FIDIC, the International Federation of Consulting Engineers. They're responsible for, helping us establish those contracts with our clients and all that. So basically, that's what HEPSSA is all about. We currently have almost 50 members. We have a subgroup that we are growing up, which is called the HEPSSA Future Leaders, because we identified the fact that there's a gap between older engineers and young engineers. So we want them to grasp that knowledge real quick so that they can represent us in the future. So basically, that's what HEPSSA is here for. If you want to know a little bit more about HEPSSA, you can just Google it, HEPSSA, ACEP. Then you learn a little bit more about its goals and its vision. Thank you.
Thank you, Engineer Otsabeng. At this juncture, I would like to introduce Engineer Somil Palmer, who represents the Knight PSO. Maybe you can briefly say something about the company.
Okay. I was just going to say I have nothing noble to say. I come from the private sector, so I'm managed to be profitable, I guess, for the minimum. But apart from that, we're an engineering consulting firm. We were established in 1921 in South Africa, and we're the oldest consulting firm in Africa. We're 103 years old. We've been here in Botswana since 1979. And we came here when we were building Morupule A, And we've tried to grow our local presence here by engaging in various forums like this. So we're very happy to be here and be able to contribute to your discussions. Thank you for inviting us.
Thank you, Engineer Kwame. And lastly, I would like to introduce Prof. Kathy Michelle for her to say something briefly about the program, HEPSSA program. Prof, I would like to introduce you to say something briefly about the HEPSSA project.
You should actually be asking the principal investigator, PI on the project about HEPSSA. I think, I mean, it falls under my ambit, I suppose, as director of the research unit, and, you know, my team are involved in, but it really is about collaboration and knowledge exchange across Southern Africa, and I'm being very specific there. It's not Sub-Saharan, it's Southern. And it's about obviously knowledge exchange between institutions and to get the conversation going around what does it mean to be truly sustainable. And in that regard, how do we communicate that message through to our students and the education of future built environment professionals and engineers. And it also includes the bleeding in of technological innovation. And I think certainly for Karen and I coming from SQ, there tends to be an emphasis for us sitting in the global south, where technology companies come to Africa seen as a market where they can sell a solution. And I'm not sure that that's necessarily the most comfortable fit for us, because we both of us, I think, firmly believe that we should actually be able to identify our own challenges within Africa and then seek a technological solution, or in fact, ask our engineering colleagues who are on the continent to actually design a technological solution that suits us, rather than us trying to always retrofit ourselves to the global north narrative. So part of actually coming from that philosophical and ideological position does mean that in Southern Africa anyway, we need to open the conversation between academic institutions about how we bleed sustainability and technological innovation into our curricula to future prepare our African graduates for I think what is going to be seismic shifts in terms of urbanization and the rapid growth of development that's coming to us across the continent. So I hope that helps.
Thank you, Prof.
Thank you very much. Until the HRDC, looking at your mission, we know that one of your mission, or the basic mission, is to drive development of Botswana human resources through knowledge-based economy. Now, how do you do that? Because looking at that mission and look at the fact that the objective of this project is to bridge technological innovation and knowledge gap. So how do you drive this? That's the question for now.
Thank you, sir. The method that we have adopted in the human resource development planning, we call it demand-led. In other words, stakeholder-led. And this means we allow policymakers, we allow employers to define the skills that they need. And in order to ensure that we prioritize those skills well, we've come out with a criteria in terms of the skills that we need to drive the economy as a country. And if we have to develop a proper skills, they must be based on your policy and strategic framework. So in terms of our planning, it's guided by our Vision 2036, first and foremost. And now to translate it into its operation, the country has come up with a national transformative strategy. And it is in that strategy that we get the different pillars of the skills that we must develop across the different sectors. From that part, you go down to the employers themselves. In the public and the private sector, they define the skills that they need. I hope you have had, I would call it a song, skills mismatch, whereby people say our graduates are not fit for purpose, and your employers are always trying. But we are about to close that gap because we have encouraged the education training providers to continually work with the employers so that as the skills evolve, especially in technology, the fourth industrial revolution, they can proactively change their programs. And it doesn't mean always you have to change your programs. Most importantly, you must change your teaching and learning approaches because the skills would change almost every day. So in a nutshell, I wish I could be presenting so that I could show you that model. But in a nutshell, that's how we ensure that the country prepares the proper human resource development. And in terms of the Vision 2036, we start there. We are all aspiring for a knowledge economy and knowledge society. And what is key there? We have identified research, innovation, science, and technology to be the pillar of the knowledge economy and knowledge society. Meaning, we expect universities to produce researchers who would create knowledge. And it is that new knowledge that will drive economic transformation. We are making a shift whereby we want universities to only concentrate on producing graduates for employment, but we want universities to produce innovators, people who would come with new technologies. We want Botswana to drive the fifth industrial revolution. The countries have defined their 4IR. We are currently consumers of technology. Our aspiration should be, we must be producers of technology. And that shift can be done if we promote innovation. And lastly, in terms of the skills, through Vision 36, we said we want a skilled workforce that is creative, that is innovative, that is productive, and have international exposure. When you look for attachments, please don't look for attachments only in Botswana. I'll give you an example, just briefly, sir, moderator, just 1 minute. I climbed on a cab the other time. I had to go and collect my car at the motor center. And the driver for that cab was a B1 graduate. I normally enjoy what is called participatory research. So as we were chatting, he said to me, in my third year, I applied for attachment in Israel. And while I was in Israel, after my attachment, the company said, we're offering you 1 year temporary employment. And he took the risk and he stayed there for 1 year and came back and finished the 4th year. As he reached in Botswana, as he was in Israel, he made savings in that 1 year attachment. So 1 year temporary work. He finished his 4th year in Buan. Now he's raising money with the cab. He wants to go back and sponsor himself for masters. That's international exposure. That's thinking outside the box. If we are all going to be looking for attachment in Botswana, the companies are getting filled up. We're doing well as a country. We're producing more graduates than the opportunities that they have. I think I will interact more. I realize that the audience are my learners. So pardon me, lecturers, if I talk more to my learners, because these are my dear audience. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you. As a follow-up to that question, because you spoke about Vision 2036, and we know it's just about 12 years away. So what strategy or milestone do you have in mind? Because it's not just talking about technology, productive. Every year, looking at the stakeholders, the university, what do you expect from them vis-a-vis the feedback from the employers? It says some of our graduates are not fit for purpose. So what are the specific things that you put on the table and the resources to take care of them?
Thank you very much, sir. And I hope the lecturers won't feel uncomfortable. But this point is very, very important. The industry is complaining that they are moving faster than the universities. But sometimes the universities tell me that they are moving faster than the industry. And I'm always left in the middle. But let me say this to my dear lecturers. The industry is moving fast. You have to convince me that you're also moving fast. And in other countries, and we all go and benchmark. When the school vacation comes after you've completed marking the exams, in other countries, they go for industrial attachment. They participate in the research, they participate in the projects there, they look at the latest technology that is used in the industry. Can we sell this to Botswana? Let us see our lecturers having interest in terms of what is happening in the industry so that they can be at par, especially around science and technology. Otherwise, we'll always talk of mismatch. And therefore, that's what we are selling here. And like I said, let us be flexible. Let us not have projects only that are related for, I would say, journals, for lack of a better word. Let us have our learners not dreaming of challenges. Let them get challenges from the industry. In that way, you will have a meaningful impact. The guest speaker took my words. We agree that when your research is cited by other research, it shows impact. That's knowledge creation at a certain level. But let us have our research be changing the people's life. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much. Even though BQA is not represented here, we still know that part of the mandate of BQA is to register qualifications, the register learning programs, and the register assessments. But I know as part of their work, they also work with the councils because we know in some of our programs, it is the people in the council that will come inspect what we have. So maybe the councils can also speak to the challenges regarding engineering and built environment education. I begin with here.
Right. Thank you very much. I hope propagation is better. Yeah. Right. Before I talk to the challenges, maybe let me just emphasize our role there in engineering education. We endorse both qualifications and learning programs. And for starters, we had a challenge where we realized that in Botswana, we're given this responsibility, not yet mandate, but ultimately wanted to be mandate. We're given this responsibility when there are no standards, which we could even learn from BQA. We had actually identified that the processes by BQA were not working for the content of engineering. And we proposed a memorandum of understanding such that we could address the issues together and ensure that whoever goes to either BQA or ERB inquiring about our processes, they get one and the same answer. So that is what the MOU sought to achieve. And then we achieved a bit of that and more, in the sense that we further on signed an agreement now on quality assurance for qualifications and programs. After that, that's when they gave us the responsibility to now endorse. those qualifications and learning program. So as the board, we had to now establish standards, because you don't want to just do something for which you do not have standard. And through the mentorship that we got with Engineering Council of South Africa, we obviously had to borrow some of the standards from there, with our strategy of in future also becoming a signatory to the International Engineering Alliance. Now, this alliance, it's a body that, in summary, deals with mobility of professionals and learners in engineering. So we want Botswana to come to a situation where a learner can transfer from this university, provided we have quality assured it and accredited it using the same process to be able to transfer anywhere in the world where similar recognition applies and not be expected to undergo some pre-entry activity in order to get into a third year or second year, that sort of thing. Go straight to year you're supposed to get in while you're here. So that's the grand plan. And in doing this, our challenges have been just that the industry, we see a lot of disparities between universities in terms of our standard. This is why we have noted that we've also been taken to court by some institutions who we thought were not the right institution to actually say their program is not at our level for us to be able to register graduates from such program. So those are some of the challenges, litigation and so on. But I'm happy to say that we won because our act protects us to say, even if the BK Act came before ours, the fact that we are a separate entity established under an Act of Parliament, it also gives us the authority to set standards for the registrants that we register. And that is how we got to it. And for us, it's international standard. We don't want a Botswana standard because we believe an engineer here, an engineer everywhere. This is why under IEA, there's also what you call an international register. You can register in Botswana, and once you are a signatory, we offer you the route. So you have the route to now have your name in the International Register of Engineers. And for that, you get to work anywhere as an engineer in that register. No one will think you are a substandard engineer having schooled in Botswana, that sort of thing. And we've got other professionals. We believe once the engineers can do that in Botswana, like becoming a signatory of the Washington Accord, Dublin Accord, and living in Sydney Accord, other professionals can also find the route to similar organizations. But engineering is not managing because there will be a reference point in the country. So the engineers have done it, the nurses can also come on board, whoever else can come on board. So there are various institutions out there. So the main challenge for us in terms of engineering education is the same thing that Prof talked about, to say industry, academia relationship. We don't think they are there. We also at some point talked about what work integrated learning, which this university, I think, had a professor who went around exciting us to say university is looking into that. But we believe it should take off quickly if it has been funded, to say we have to insist on industrial attachment of some sort, such that we don't lag behind and be able to teach local content. That's what we call it, local content, such that students can be able to solve local problems using engineering concepts. And then other countries can come and learn here, to say in Botswana, a university student can get into a community and come up with a project that can be patented, and they can even hire other engineers from that invention. We want to stop that. To say the learning programs that we endorse, some institutions believe our requirements are too strict, or we favor some universities over others. But we can assure you that Washington Accord standard remains Washington Accord everywhere in the world. So we apply one standard across, because we also want to be recognized by IEA. And in that regard, let me just say, because the HEPSSA member is here, other from HEPSSA we met before, and HEPSSA as our mentor was becoming signatories. They're actually hand-holding us when we develop capacity in the country, where we take professors and let me not say professors. At ERB, we don't have a professor category. Engineers from academia and engineers from the field, we give them capacity to be able to quality assure qualifications, training programs, because we don't do it as a secretariat. We use people from industry and academia. So what we've done is we've also, once per meeting, we take them out to witness similar work in South Africa. When universities are being assessed for the learning programs, qualification, if you are lucky and you are in our database and you are part of the committee, we take you to go and witness such that you can come back here and do likewise, because our aim is come 2026 in June, we should be presenting SERB in Cape Town before the International Engineering Alliance for us to become this provisional signatory of the Washington Accord. That's the goal on the ground. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Before I allow you to go, there's another follow-up question. Since you are, as a regulator, you are regulating engineering education, and again, you regulate engineering practice, and the HRDC is talking about the gap. Now, the concern is, what role do you play? Now, since you're also working with BQA, to see the gap there, then how do you feel it? Because if there's no engagement between you, the university, and the industry, how do you know that we are moving at the same pace?
The fact that, okay, we've said this before, even at our annual engineering week event, to say we need all stakeholders to come on board, because that's where we talk about this issue. Academia and industry, there's that big gap. And to close it, we believe, as an example, as an university in Botswana, what are the projects that you get students to do? My personal belief is that you should look for projects from industry. And as I'm also a product of this university, and during my time, we had to personally move around the country to identify a company that could sponsor your project. And during my time, we had to do that, and companies were supportive. Unless the numbers are now overwhelming the industry, we shouldn't reach that level. So projects should come from industry such that students can actually realize the worth of the project that they do. I was getting material from a private company, yet I was in the university. I was going there to get PCBs, components, and then bring them into university, into a lab, and do my project. Because that entity agreed to sponsor me by just giving me access to their lab, and I could get components from them for my project. And at the end of the project, I had to also even present it to them, show them what I've done, and they're willing to hire me. You see, so we should extend that opportunity by making sure that even expert lecture. For now, we get invites from certain universities to come and present about engineering ethics. But you don't have to stop there. Bring the industry on board by inviting experts like that, come and present about anything, whether it's road development and whatever else, what the syllabus entails. Bring live presentations. I call them live presentations because these people would have even the capability to show what is actually happening on the field in a lecture room. And the students will be able to pick and even identify with stuff that they see as black boxes out in the countryside, not knowing what really is going on because they don't have the opportunity to visit, but you can bring the industry here in the classrooms. That's what we believe would happen. And then there should also be mentors. As the board, what we have a policy for initial professional development, but this one is meant for fresh graduates and registered engineers. So they must learn from professional engineers, engineering professionals, I must say that. And we are saying it's not good enough for them to start upon graduation. They should already have that built in when they do the program. It's very good industry, university collaborations.
Thank you very
I
much.
think I can stop there. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Out of QEHPSSA, the role you also play in professional practice and education development in Botswana.
Thank you for that question. As a regulatory body, it is our responsibility to regulate. So the ones that we are regulating, we expect them to be all-rounded quantity surveyors who are able to offer services that are on point. So it is also our responsibility to make sure that the universities also produce students that will be able to be absorbed by the market. Our role, we are mandated as well by BQA to endorse programs that are offered by institutions which offer quantity survey related courses. And we are also in collaboration with our industry counterparts to make sure that as we endorse these courses, we are understanding very well what it is that we are endorsing and what these courses, the outcome of these courses when they go out there to the students, and to make sure that the students, as they learn, the lecturers are teaching them what the industry expects. As a regulatory body, we have council members who are participants of the industry, and these council members, they play a role in making sure that the courses that are endorsed indeed speak to the industry that they are involved in. So we don't only use people in academia for endorsing courses, but we also use people who are on the ground in the industry, who are dealing with the day-to-day quantity surveying, and to make sure that these students, as they graduate, they have what the industry is expecting of them. Remember, when they go into the industry, they are going to go there to work with people who will be busy. So unlike in a classroom situation where they have somebody who is giving them information or imparting knowledge to them, in the industry, there is no time for that. So expectation is that if they are given any assignment to do, they should be able to do it with very little supervision. And the industry itself does not really have the time to basically babysit them. We expect them, when they get into the industry, to be able to do what they're supposed to be doing. At QSRC, we also register fresh graduates who we refer to as candidate quantity surveyors. And during this time, we don't only expect them to learn on their own, we also ask the industry participants to mentor them. We make sure that our candidate quantity surveyors are mentored, and we make sure that every year they submit what they have been learning so that we are able to monitor them. And when we see that there is lack of certain skills, to try and get industry participants to help them to make sure that they achieve what the industry expects them to have achieved by the time we register them as professional quantity surveyors. So we do play a role in that regard in making sure that we have an all-rounded quantity surveyor who is not only a participant or a quantity surveyor for the Botswana market, but also for international markets. We do collaborate with international participants like AHUS, which is Africa Association of Quantity Surveyors. So we have other participants, even ASAQS. We do work with them in making sure that our regulatory body is all-rounded. Our regulatory body is able to also make sure that whoever they are registering, they're not only registered to participate in the Botswana market, but also to international markets. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And now to Botswana Institution of Geomatics. Want to hear your role, the role you play in the development of education, in the practice of geomatics.
I would like to make it a point here. The Botswana Institute of Geomatics is also affiliated to international bodies such as FIG, international body. So what I can confirm to the House is that we appreciate the relationship between the University of Botswana and the private sector within the geomatics and data. Always attaching their students to the private sector in the geomatics industry. The basis of the attachment has proven to be a challenging one, because currently they are producing more graduates than what the industry can handle. And another issue that we are looking at is on the innovative platform of geomatics. That when they produce students here, what we should look at is the technology that is being applied outside there. Things are changing. Geomatics practices have been changing, but within the Land Survey Act, the best are governed by that. But we now have the implementation of ground penetrating radar, drone survey. These are some of the issues that our industry is participating to make sure that students from the University of Botswana are able to benefit from what we do in the industry outside there. Because the industry out there is moving very fast, like somebody already indicated. We are implementing as the technology changes within the industry that side, we are taking all those platforms. And the hindrances that we have noticed is that when the students come, most of this technology that were being applied outside there, we realize that most of them they are a little bit behind, which means there is a gap between the industry and the courses being taken within the university. Not to say they are not delivering proper graduates, but this is being affected by the technology that is being applied. Because out in the industry, we are always looking for solutions. Whenever we have an issue, we are looking for a solution. When you look for a solution, you research and you apply it. So that's the situation between us and the university.
Thank you very much. We know one of the roles of BQA is to review the programs. Most of the time, if you have full accreditation every 5 years. So apart from looking at the content and look at the equipment, now at times we may have the best of the content, the best of equipment, but what about the application of recent technology in the content? It's like this is lacking. But in our feedback, we seem not to receive this from all this council. So no, we need to have this content. Yes, sir.
So we've heard from industry. The first thing I'd like to say is that the challenges that you're facing in that notional gap, and I'm saying notional because it is notional, is not unique to Botswana. I think that is it is actually a global challenge. It's certainly a challenge we have in South Africa. And we could, we heard that in Cardiff University when we were there in June. And Dr. Mogadi Ali can confirm that coming from the University of West of England. There is always this perception about universities are not doing enough, and I'm going to use my words deliberately now, to make the university graduate more technically proficient. And the university's response is, it is not our role to produce technicians. If you want a university graduate, those graduate attributes, aside from your Washington Accord, part of those graduate attributes is not about necessarily being technically proficient in every current piece of software and technological innovation that is out there. You cannot possibly educate graduates or teach them, as the words that were, I prefer educate, because that's what we're doing. We're not actually teaching students in a university environment. We are facilitating their learning. And in facilitating their learning and in educating them, you are instilling a lifelong passion for learning. And I'm looking at the students in the room now. What we want as professors is for you to walk away from the university being critical thinkers. It's very important to prepare you for the fifth industrial revolution. Because this generation, it's very important that they're critical thinkers, and with that comes the creativity and the innovation that the HR person was speaking about earlier. So part of the challenge that we have is that mind shift on the part of academia. And I'm not saying that we can't do more. We can do more to foster closer relationships with industry and to bring them on the journey with us. But there's also a subtle mind shift in industry to realize that perceived gap is actually industry, and I'm going to be provocative now since it is a panel discussion, is about industry wanting technically proficient graduates, in which case I was saying, go look for them in the Technicon. And the reason you're looking for technicians that are proficient in technology and the technical stuff that you need in your business is because you're not prepared to pay for their training in building information modeling or whatever piece of latest software that it is. So you're hoping to get it on the cheap and passing the financial buck to the university. But we cannot possibly keep pace with teaching that current stuff at the rate that it's coming out. Because in order to teach it, it means that I need to be trained as well. And that, universities are resource constrained. We don't, that means all the staff need to be changed, for example, in BIM in order for us to facilitate that learning. In order to, for example, if we take BIM as a good example, is industry prepared to put their hand in their pocket and pay for the laboratory space that we need and the computers and the technology and the staff that it actually goes to run a laboratory of that nature? So there needs to be some kind of meeting in the middle here, that this is not a cheap exercise to redo that. And I don't know how many students you have in your class, but if you've got 100 students in first year engineering, and to be able to make them all proficient in BIM over the course of their 4-year degree, then we need a 100-seater laboratory. And now, actually, it's more than that. It's not just one, because you've got 4 years in an engineering degree, and all 4 years are working on the BIM. So actually, we need 400 computers that are running BIM with the licenses and everything that goes with it. So there needs to, I'm being particularly provocative, because we need to face these challenges head on. You can't have this Mexican standoff between industry and academia. We actually need to come to that meeting. The other thing I think possibly for industry to realize is that the way in which we teach, the culture of teaching and learning has changed since you were at university. Love you guys, Gen Z. But you are known as the 32nd generation. Love you. So if I can't encapsulate and spark your attention in 30 seconds or the equivalent of a TikTok video, I have lost you as an academic. So there's another subtle shift coming to industry. These are not Gen Xers, they're not even millennials. They're Gen Z. They think differently. They want purpose in life. Am I sounding like I speak to you guys on the same level? They are the 5th Industrial Revolution. Now that makes everyone uncomfortable, because the 5th Industrial Revolution is about reintroducing the human element. In other words, humans become front and center in terms of using technology. What I said earlier, the 4th Industrial Revolution is technology seeking a solution. And 5IR is about bringing humans, the social aspect, the S and the SGs, if you want it in private sector terms, front and center. And that generation sitting there are the ones that are going to drive the 5th Industrial Revolution, because it's really important to them. All right, I can carry on. I won't give a 45-minute lecture.
Following on to Prof, and this goes to a night pure sold. As an employer, and then you normally get this, we are talking about the Gen Z, you get them one internship or placement. What are the minimum expectations that when you get them for internship, what do you expect from them? And as a company, what are you willing to give?
That's a difficult question, because some of them are going to look for me next year or something, and it's going to be difficult to sort of negotiate with them. They know what I'm expecting. But anyways, I think the biggest challenge, the biggest mindset shift we've seen between the millennials and the Gen Zs is that the millennials were a lot more go-getters. You know, it was like a one-stop shop for everything. You could give this guy, you could just give this guy a general problem, and he's able to go out there and solve it, you know, from start to finish. But the Gen Zs are more interested in being specialized. They want to get into, if they're interested in stability analysis, for example, that's what they want to do. They love doing AutoCAD or BIM or any of those softwares. That's what they want to continue doing. So going back to your question, what is the expectation? The expectation is a lot of softwares. All our reports now start, all our letters, is an interesting anecdote. So those of you who send me letters, you should know that I know that this is from an AI letter. It says, I hope you are doing well. And that's an AI letter. It comes from ChatGPT. And there's a lot of that uniqueness is gone. That personal feeling that comes from your type of letters, from you as an individual, that individuality sort of disappears in the kind of product you get out of it. But they're a lot more interested in getting very good at their softwares, using AI. But I kind of feel like, you know, we were very good at asking Google questions. Because Google, you had to ask very specific questions and it gives you an answer. These guys will take the first answer that comes out of AI and give that to you as an answer. And that's probably not correct. So there's a little mindset shift. And that's what we've got to deal with right now. And we find it very difficult in practice to get the millennials to work with the Gen Zs because expectations are far apart. But what we try and do, generally speaking, is as soon as you come in, we try and coach you. We try and have lots and lots of interactive sessions on a weekly basis, little brown bag sessions where we can interact and explain what we do and how we did it before and how they're doing it now, and to try and bridge that gap. But that's the difference we've seen at the moment. I hope that answers your question.
And then as a follow-up, technologically, as a company, oh, okay.
I just want to say the problem is race. also tricky. You ask for a competency report. Get 100 people say coming from the same organization, giving you the same report, and you see this one is, there's no originality. And in terms of ethics, that you find you lots of plagiarism, you can just say you refuse to register you because the letter is representing 20 people, 50 people, I mean the report, because you just pick from ChatGPT and then you write reports that, and you are expected to be personal in writing that report because it concerns you. So those are the challenges that you see. And yesterday I was talking to some company, say 100 people, out of 100, if 30 of them are submitting the same report, you're going to have one engineer being registered. The other 29, what do you need? Because they've written the same report. Now, let give us the task of now identifying who is the owner of the report. If it's correct, then it's not a doctor. Because even that original one might be wrong to start with, and everybody then adopts it. That's the problem we currently have with them. And they also doctor our certificate. We have to think every year how we can change the features. In the certificate says that they cannot use my certificate as theirs.
Thank you.
Go ahead. I think we've got a lot of students in the audience. So when if you apply that to education from a critical thinking point of view, the key issue here, I as a professor see is So how do I help you to learn how to use ChatGPT, okay, to make your job operationally more efficient? So you can use this now. So there's no harm in going to ChatGPT. It's not this big scary thing. Go ask it the question. It's going to give you whatever it can source on the internet. So think logically now. Please reverse engineer what it tells you. I may use that term. If ChatGPT or whichever, because ChatGPT is not the only one, but any AI generated tool that you use, because I know students put their assignments through 3 or 4 AI generation tools in order to turn it in, and the plagiarism checkers can't actually pick it up. We don't really know all about it. All the white font that you use to make it look like you've got more words in the assignments, and yeah, all good. So been there, son, been there, done that, and got the badge. Okay, so how do you reverse engineer what the AI generated tool gives you? Now you're going to have to use your gray matter. I know this is really, really hard, and it's a lot harder than watching the 30-second TikTok video. Okay, but you are very good at being forensic investigators on TikTok when it suits you. Whether it's where she got that outfit, where she gets her hair done, how did he manage to land that cap, or where is he? You know, some influencer, they're trying to pretend that they, you know, but no, that's a really cool spot. So and how does that one know that one? You're all very good at reverse engineering on Insta and TikTok. So please use that ability that you have to reverse engineer what the AI generator tells you. Anything that's coming in the AI generated tool is somewhere on the internet. Okay, it hasn't randomly plucked it from Mars or the moon. It is on the internet, and therefore it is accessible. More importantly, it's not in closed source information. It is in open source information. If ChatGPT or the AI generator is getting it for you. So ask it the question to help you, okay, because it's actually more efficient in pointing you in the right direction than Google. And we all know that Google has its, you know, you can always be a conspiracy theorist about who's watching in Big Brother and Microsoft and the whole thing with Google. So reverse engineer what ChatGPT tells you. Go find the original source material. It is available, but it's going to be a little bit of work. So imagine it's the TikTok video or the Instagram reel that you are watching now to reverse engineer to go and stalk or find or whatever it is. And I know you can all do that. So why not do it with the AI generator? So that's our role as educators. It's the critical thinking. How do we prepare them so that they use technology to assist them, but without falling foul of the professional ethics, and to each become their own individual, beautiful self, either a quantity surveyor or a geometrician or an engineer, and you have your own unique identity, because actually that's what all of you want. Else, why would you be so obsessed with TikTok and the reels and following influencers? Each one of you wants to be unique and special. So stop using ChatGPT to generate your letters for him.
You wanted to add?
Yes. I wanted to add something that she said about universities being expected to produce more technicians. I think because I'm dealing with industry every day, let me help here. You know, there's a reason why the industry always want to do us more than thinkers. When I was doing this work, I once had a chat with the former Vice Chancellor, Professor Falcon. And you are saying to me, you want to turn this world and turn all the universities into TVETs or technicons. And I think there was misconception when this whole idea of skills was being discussed. Now, let me make it very, very clear to everybody. You know, your economy is driven by the productivity sectors, your mining, your manufacturing, your agriculture. Let me just give those three examples. Majority of the workers in these sectors are those who work in production. Because with productivity, you get profit. So yes, they need more technicians. Where should they get technicians? From the TVETs, not from the university. We've ironed out that problem that go and get technicians and artisans from the TVETs. Okay, but now we are here. We are producing engineers in any work structure, agriculture, mining, manufacturing. You employ more doers than thinkers. So where are the employment opportunities? They lie more at the technicians and artisans. So when we call stakeholder meetings, yes, there will be over vocal in seeking for technical skills. That is the basis of the argument because that's where they employ more. We are producing engineers in Botswana, in your Karwe mine. You go to every mine, there will be few engineers employed and there will be more technicians. Because in production, you need more technicians and you need more artisans. But they are not saying you should change and produce technicians. I think the key thing and the big challenge to universities, I agree with them. We need to produce innovators. And innovators don't use one copy and duplicate it to 20 and submit to the registration board. We're starting on the wrong foot. The big question is, how do you assess innovation? I think we must have a workshop one day. Because if engineers are going to be innovators, how do we assess that when they leave this university? Otherwise, in terms of employment, let us understand that all the industries will employ more technicians than engineers. Thank you.
You can go ahead.
Okay, for me, it's just a quick one. How do we become innovators and how do we define a Botswana engineer in 2036? I think those go hand in hand. I did note that I'm from HEPSSA. It's a non-profit organization. I do that at night, but I actually have a day job, you know. So I happen to be the technical manager with NIPSO. So I'm here with Samir at the same time. Yes, we have experienced like different, you know, different scholars that we have given intention. I usually call them summer students. I don't know why I call them summer students, but they come in different colors, they come in different minds. But one thing I realized is that the ones that are winning to go ahead, doesn't matter what their GPA is, but those that are winning usually go a little bit further because they usually drive themselves. But challenge comes to those who are capable of doing things based on the marks that they have attained. I'm not saying that you guys should take it easy on your marks, but I'm saying, like, you know what, you have to be willing. You have to be studying a lot, even though you're on your third year or your fourth year. You should study about innovations. We talked about AI, but how many of you read books? Like, how many of you go out there and I have 300 people, I'm going to buy a book that's going to teach me about this? So that's your reference. Even though you're using AI, sometimes you have to read a book that's related to the topic that you're dealing with, because that's pretty much your confirmation. So I realized that we don't read a lot anymore, and that's a huge challenge once you get to the industry. And as ASEP, we have done a lot of benchmarking with other organizations like Association of Consulting Engineers Zambia and Namibia. But I can tell you, like, those kids who were winning within the ASEP FL ended up, like, even moving out of the country because they were recognized at those levels, and they ended up going out there and actually representing their youth leagues in the sense of consulting engineers. So the only thing that I can tell you guys is it's not an easy industry, but you gotta go out there willing to put your 100% so that you can move ahead faster. That's all I want to add up. Thank you.
To HRDC again. Now we know the challenges. How do we get there? 2036 is just 12 years away. And the university is saying we don't have money. We are willing to move, but we don't have money. And after PhD, if there's any support, every academic is on his own. So HRDC, how do we go?
Right. I think we must realize that they always say Rome was not built in one day. Maybe let me take you through the journey that we went through. There used to be a time whereby maybe we are not ready to give proper advice because we are still at infancy stage, 2013, 14, 15, 16. And rightly so, the country was producing more for certain sectors and then less for the other sectors. Step one, I can assure you, a lot of our ATPs have done well in terms of developing programs, and we are covering majority of the sectors. We'll never say all. Then we go to step number 2. I think in terms of accrediting programs, we later realized that, and I'm remembering this because the professional bodies are here, some of our graduates were not being registered. I take it from the positive that the ERB, DQA, and other professional bodies, they are doing well. They will never solve all the problems. I support the professional bodies because they come with international exposure. Remember, we can't produce for Botswana. We are a little economy. We want to export the skills. So I think we're almost there. We're just ironing out our teething problems. And I support that both BQ and professional bodies should check quality. Botswana cannot export only more. We expect the best of the best. So we must meet both local and international standards. Now, coming back into the issue of skills. Everybody now knows what the industry needs, what the economy needs. We're at the development of the skills themselves. We can know the skills, but the big question is, as our graduates leave the university, do they have those skills? And BQA is still limited. And this is where we call upon the private sector to participate in developing the skills, both at the universities and at the workplace. We can't be looking at universities only. The countries that we are aspiring, we've seen the private sector coming up with what they call the specialized training center and simulations. We are in an economy whereby even the government, they cannot always provide all the necessary latest infrastructure and facilities because of the revolution. So we call upon the private sector to participate fully. You know, we can always criticize each other, but sometimes just one machine is equivalent to the budget for the university.
That's right.
And you can't expect universities to behave in that. So I think it's high time we have private sector participation. But when we sit around them the table, they mention issues that are beyond us. In other countries where the private sector participates in education, there has to be incentives. And they are given those incentives, but those can be negotiated by our Ministry of Trade. Because if we don't do that, this gap that you are talking about, we'll continue talking about it. And it's high time we realize that that partnership is the one that will have a solution. But how do we go up to 2036? You know, when we talked about the employers, there was a burning platform that there's a shortage of skills in Botswana. And we are importing a lot of skills. We've reached a stage whereby we are producing more graduates than opportunities we have. Even when the industry says they want some skills, they need few people with working experience. So what should we be doing? In addition to continually listening to the employers and producing for employers, we must start producing job creators. And that's where universities must be concentrating on. And that's why I started with this in 2036. And we are talking to the country to say, put more resources in research, development, and innovation. Let DTEF start sponsoring masters and PhD. Because that's where you start if you have to produce a knowledge economy. But the budget is, at the moment, it's plus or minus 2 billion. It's not changing that much. I think for the first time it reached 3 million this year. That's enough for continuing students from first year to fourth year or fifth year. And those who are retaining students, whether they didn't do well, we talk about a pizza in DTEF. They have technology that they use. But I hope you heard the budget speech that government have increased money for the research fund for the first time. And this is a sign that we are going into the right direction. So what should our universities now concentrate on? We're not saying don't listen to employers, but you are saying, let's have a shift now. Let's produce creators for jobs. And we can only do that if we increase investment in research, development, and innovation. Government cannot do it alone. In other countries, the private sector put funds into it because they know that if they put more funds in universities, research, development, and innovation, they would get the benefits because the products there are going to do research in their companies. So we're getting closer there. Government have increased funds. Unfortunately, as you know, sometimes we are slow in our country in implementing. If you ask me, from this year's budget, it was announced that we have increased more funds in research. But as you know, our spending is very little. But let us pray that this fund will increase every year. DTEF will have more funds to sponsor masters and PhD, so that the private sector injects something, so that we don't produce employees only. I want to end by saying, when we said we drive with industrial revolution, we mean we generate new ideas. It's now more job creators than employees. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. So what are the takeaways that I want to be with? Except the role of sustainability in engineering practice.
The takeaway here is, how do we produce sustainable quality education in Botswana? We can't start at the universities. We are working with the Ministry of Education and Skills Development so that in future you get better products from the lower structures. We are implementing what we call education and training strategic sector plan, where we are saying, in addition to skills, let's manage talent. I'll come back to STEM. And this is where we are assessing learners at an early stage, so that we can channel them to the right pathways. And we have piloted with TVET. Like I said in the beginning, it's been an outcry of technical skills. But we'll soon have a pathway for STEM, so that by the time you reach young science, you receive young scientists, they are properly developed at secondary education. So that when you are here, you don't concentrate only on content. Now, sometimes when I'm a product of this university, I still remember if there's one maths lecture here, pardon me, learning real analysis. Today, when I ask myself, hey, did I ever apply real analysis anyway? Hey, I can't remember. But I was always just getting more than 50% in that course. And the lecturer, they will excuse me, they will always say, hey, this is not for everybody. Let that mindset change and really look at our curriculum set and come up with a curriculum that would allow us to prepare for the fifth industrial revolution, where content is important, but application of content is also important. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Mr. Moderator. Just during this discussion, so I was just taking a few notes here, and just looking at the audience that we have here, and I close my eyes and I'm like, you know what, there's a long journey that they have to take. Until we define what the Botswana engineer is supposed to look like in 2036, then we really have a long way to go. I mean, we're talking about innovation, and I know that there's a lot of benchmarking that's taking place within different organizations, and even at my workplace, we look at these things like, how do we teach these young ones and elevate them to a point whereby they can rely on themselves and they can believe on themselves. Because the biggest thing is like, they have to believe in themselves first. I didn't want to bring this one in, but just having the opportunity to work abroad for 16 years and coming back here, I realized that you can pinpoint most of the gaps that we actually have. Nobody talks about age differences. I mean, in 2036, I'll probably be in Soro at the farm. Most of us will probably have retired and just taking that time before the last call. But the thing is, like, where are those guys going to be, right? There's a really huge gap that needs to be recognized in this engineering industry. At the same time, we did talk about, skill sharing. That's where my point is coming in. Like, most of us are going to be retired pretty soon. And we really want to share our skills with these guys, but we have to have opportunities in the industry. Like we have to have work in the industry so that we can hire these guys and we can actually pay them. I was just talking to one of my friends. He's been looking for a rock engineer for a while now, and he cannot find one in Botswana. So he has to go out there and actually start looking for one. So those are some of the skills that we are lacking here. But if you can look back, we used to have like, pretty much companies at the same level. We could tender for everything and all that. But most of the companies that have the skills usually cannot, they have the skills, but sometimes they can be bad to, attend on certain jobs. I'll say like maybe some South African companies or Namibian companies, they have the skills, but they want to share those skills with us. But it becomes difficult, right? So I think the industry will have to look at that too. I mean, we're going to a situation where it's really critical. Like I was saying, like, we receive kids and they have like theory 40%, then we have to like put that 60% in them. So it's only about those who are winning that they're going to gain that within like it takes time. It takes time. So at the end of the day, we still have a lot of way. We can talk about innovation. You can talk about recycling, green energy, and all that. But if you're looking for those resources right now, you have to outsource them because that growth is not here yet. So that's why I'm like, we still have to define what an engineer looks like in Botswana in 2036. I think that's my biggest concern. Thank you.
So to the quant survey, how do you think quant survey will look like in 2036?
Well, quantity surveying, like any other profession, is subject to the changes that are happening in today's world. And also, we need to make sure that in 2036 we have an innovative quantity surveyor. And we do need the synergy between the construction industry itself and the learning institutions. We still have a long way to go because this synergy is still at snail pace. Because as she had said before, they are educating learners who are more thinkers than anything. And the industry is expecting a learner who is more technical. So that's a synergy that we need as the industry, as institutions. We need to come together so that we can put that together. Because at the end of the day, both the industry and the institutions, we cannot remain standing in our understanding where the university is saying educating thinkers and the industry is saying, I want to employ technicians. We need to find a balance in that so that by 2036, our graduates are graduates that are both thinkers and technical. And as quantity surveyors, we do need our students to be innovative. We wish the industry itself could be able to absorb them so that they can go and have that participation prior to graduating and being part of the industry. We find that, yes, there is a challenge because we find that there is more graduates in the market, which the market is not able to absorb so that they can participate and be trained by the market. Earlier, he alluded that we need learners that are trained by the market. We wish that our market could actually absorb these graduates so that they can be trained by the market. When I was training, when I was a student, we had the opportunity to have an entire year of being in attachment before we could go and complete our final year. That really helped because you had an entire year to be a participant in the market. And then you went back to school, which you were able to visualize and able to learn from a different perspective, including learning what you learned from the industry itself and what you are learning from the lecturer. And by so doing, you came out being a graduate that the market is ready to absorb you. Yes, we have challenges here in our country because our industry is not such a large industry in the sense that private sector is also dependent on government in terms of getting work. And any company in the private sector, if they don't have projects, they will not be able to absorb the students. So like my co-panelists have already said, we need thinkers. We need people who can come up with their own project. We need people who are researchers. We need to be more technical, to be more innovative, so that we don't only rely on the government, so that we don't only rely on being employed by somebody, but we are able to also, as students, as graduates, come out of universities with an ability to think beyond just being an employee, but to also be somebody who can come up with any kind of project that the market, that you can eventually employ your peers and even employ some of us. So in 2036, we are hoping to have graduates that are not only trained or only educated by their lecturers, but also educated by the industry itself. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So the next question goes to Engineer Palmer. And because I had a strange experience last semester. So we have some students just finished report complete design. And you know, in the university, we teach them through the analysis part and the design and the detailing. And the students were expected to go on industrial training. All of a sudden, I received a call from the company. They said, we only need somebody who can construct. And my concern is, what is the role of the industry? If they want us to teach them to construct here, so what are they doing there?
You name and shame that company. I mean, I don't think our expectation of graduates is to come and construct. I mean, we'd be setting them up for failure.
Sure.
I think it's, if you talk about ethics, what is the ethical responsibility of a senior engineer towards society, towards producing responsible engineers? That's why you have a 4-year period before you can become a professional engineer, before you can actually construct. So I don't think that you can expect a student that comes out of university to construct straight away. You've got to give them time. You've got to give them the opportunity to learn. You have to expose them to a lot of different options that are out there. I'm listening to all the panelists talking about where we will be in 2036. My hope for us in Botswana is that just the way South Africa has done it, they've been able to export all their services outside of South Africa. I don't want to send engineers from Botswana out of South Africa, from Botswana to other countries like South Africa, or rather us be servicing the rest of Africa. Because if you look at the number of engineers per capita, I think we might be maybe as high as South Africa or actually higher than South Africa. So we've got the most number of engineers per capita in Southern Africa at the moment. Why are we not harnessing that? Why isn't the headquarters of these big organizations here servicing the rest of Africa? One of the South African companies that I was talking to last year, they were saying that they hire 150 graduates a year on their graduate training program. 150 graduates at the biggest company in Botswana in engineering consult, and it's an engineering consulting firm. Doesn't have 150 employees, maybe one. And how do we get there? If we need to create an enabling environment where we can teach, we can have the proper graduate training program, we can prepare and develop experts. And developing experts is not a 5-year journey or a 2-year journey, it's a 20-year journey. It's 20 years before you're an expert. Now, I think the time frame might have been shortened a lot because with AI and all these technological innovations, to be an expert might be shortened, but the future will tell. But again, there's a lot of changes that are required industry-wide that create an enabling environment where we can then export our skills, export our services of our skilled individuals in the country. I think that's the opportunity. Some of the changes that need to happen is, if you look at government tenders, they will all say that you need a senior guy with 20 years experience. What about a bright kid with 10 years experience who can probably do the job? I mean, they are those high flyers. How do you allow them to develop and grow businesses? Because you're saying that you want these guys to be employers, but your tendering procedures generally your tendering procedures are disabling innovative thinkers and allowing them to try and do big things. So I always compare myself to Mark Zuckerberg, and for many years I never set up a Facebook account because he was my same age as me. And I said, why am I giving him my money? My friend counseled me and said, come on, man, it's not going to make a big difference to his bank account. So just open a Facebook account. So like 2008, 2009, I refused to open it for many years. I was like, why should he make money the same age as me? But it's because his environment allowed him to excel. That's right. I personally, I'm also a product of QE. I was an internship here, and I've never worked for anybody else except the same company I've been working for all my life. And the easy strategy for young people is my strategy for promotion is just wait for somebody to get fired, move to Australia, and I don't know, get divorced and get and decide that he wants to have a new lifestyle change or something. That's probably the best way to get promoted. So you just stick it out, you just wait. But I mean, that's what our industry forces us to do, because you've got to have 20 years experience. If you come up with a bright idea, it's a lot of hard work to get ahead. And I don't think we have an enabling environment that allows us to do that. I think that needs to change.
Thank you very much. Botswana Institute of Geomatics. I know you mentioned some technology you apply, drone technology. We know there are so many new technologies, Internet of Things, 5G, 6G. So how do you see geomatics in the next 12 years?
Geomatics, the next years, we are moving into digital world. We are moving to digital world in the sense that now the data has to be managed digitally. But that data should still be accurate. We are looking at the data where spatial data is not connected to the public data, which means ownership, spatial data, A1 information. We have to be in a state where we are building an integrated information system. We are thinking about the gaps between the university and the industry. But there's still a gap between the industry, so between the professionals, between the companies, between the services. That's where the gap is also. We need to do things now. So that as we move forward, into this information technology, and all these changes, we are able to integrate data and we are able to manage it, we are able to share it. So the geomatics, and that's when we move forward. As per the statistics, the US statistics, the research can tell us that from 2020 to 2030, there will be an increase in 1% in the demand for the geomaticians, because more data is being collected. If we collect more data, there's a demand to ensure that there is a quality assurance and a quality control on that thing. So I look at your materials and say, you will always be there. You are needed as the technology change. Move fast with that. Learn more new things so that you are not left behind. Many of us were left behind because we are not researching, we are not studying. But when you look at the changes that is happening, nowadays at home, you are likely to look as soon as much help to say how do you do this. Small kids now are even faster than us. I mean, people are 5-year-old. They all these guys are so much intelligent that sometimes I have to compare my that is too specific. I don't understand that it's not changes. So I will encourage students to even ask, because the problem with change normally is the guidance of the person. It's very difficult to make it. That's why sometimes when we are discussing things like this, sometimes it's very difficult for us to be open. Because when we try to open, we are going to get from someone's talk. Then comes the problem. But geometricians are there to state this information, to give you that information. But that information must be accurate enough to use smart.
And well, Mr. PTBK is not here because when, as universities, we normally review our programs, maybe after 5 years, 10 years. So I was going to ask even the regulators, what exactly are you looking for? Are you looking for any changes, new innovations to be infused in the programs that are under review? Rollouts, maybe, or I don't know, HRDC want to respond, but the rollouts, I think, as a regulator, you go through a review.
Yes, thank you very much. As for the previous question, 2036, I'm looking for a global engineer coming from Botswana. In terms of how we look at qualifications and program, we set the standard, and as a principle, the standard only gives the minimum, we set the minimum. And we leave room for universities to, to design their programs however they see fit in their strategy. And then you also look to check whether the university or the program is forward-looking. What are the intentions for adopting technological advancement in any learning program? I mean, that's why we want creative openness. We cannot force something onto UB if UST hasn't, provided you already meet the minimum standard. But at some point, after the 5 years now, I'm now putting myself ahead of time to say, when I'm already IEA accredited, when I come to do quality assurance after 5 years, the standard that we accredited you with 5 years ago, I would now be saying, but with the advancement of AI, virtual realities, you told me 5 years ago that you're only teaching the concept. We are now 5 years later. You cannot be still just teaching the concept. You should be advancing as well. I think that is to be expected. Before, during our time, we only introduced to fiber optics, first technology was started. But now, I'm not expecting a module that will only be just talking to the basics and fiber optic technologies and applications. I'm expecting more, because now even the throughputs that we push through any medium, they are now advanced. So our expectation is to see growth. 5 years on, we should see growth. But we are not saying university should be the same. We leave room for competition. if you're a university of choice for students, it should be because you are doing something different, which the Gen Z and the next generation will be looking for. And we believe also in engineering, like if I already noticed, there are many derivatives. If kids come to me now to say, which engineering products can I do? It's a difficult question for me now at this stage. First, I'll be saying, you see, I didn't used to think even cartoons would be the in thing. My 7-year-old daughter, when she was 7, she was already playing on the, what do you call this? Asking me to subscribe for her because he wanted to use Roblox and do the whatever, those games. Now, this is digital, now going to digital money, currencies and all these things. Maybe we're going to have a lot of work that is being advertised now if you want to go outside. We see along those lines because we are lagging behind in terms of technology. But the other market, they are looking for engineers to work in the infrastructure to manage, for instance, digital currency, stuff, policy setting. And we never thought that would be something that you could do. So a lot of derivatives are coming up. So it's difficult for me to buy as a kid. I tell my kids, do whatever you want to do, whatever you've read about, you can venture into. Because I don't want to recreate myself. I think I'll spoke for it.
Thank you very much. Well, is anyone who wants to respond on the panelist, I will invite our audience for comments and questions.
Yeah, I'm not going to answer for BQA, but I would say yes, after every 5 years, you need to review your curriculum. I think nowadays you'll agree with me that changes are taking place. And we need to be integrating technology with other issues that are coming up. The technology should not be separated from climate change. Technology must not be separated from the just transition, where everybody is trying to minimize carbon emission. So I think we must cope with the challenges. But I think I want to make one point that we have not been emphasizing on. Much as we are concerned about our learners who are our future leaders, we must transform their instructors and teachers and lecturers. I know this can be discussed at another forum, but the learner is as good as the teacher. And, you know, we always make it look it simple. And even me, I'm a culprit because I said it this morning. Oh, produce job creators, not employees. Hey, that's not easy. The mindset should start with the lecturer and the trainer. Did we train them that way? Because sometimes I believe we throw the youth to the deep end. So I think there should be a balance in terms of investing on upgrading the teachers and lecturers so that what we are dreaming of their learners can be fast-tracked. I think it's one area that maybe we didn't discuss that I wanted to emphasize more. Thank you.
Thank you. You want to add?
Yeah, I just wanted to about your curriculum. One of the changes that you guys made recently was going from that 6 months internship down to 2 months internship.
Yes.
And we found the 6 months internship was a lot better because, you know, after 2 months, the students have finally learned exactly what we need to do. And when they really become productive, they've gone back to university. So maybe we need to think about, you know, we as companies need to think about how to accelerate them at the beginning in the first two, so that they can be within 2 weeks be able to do something productive, so that they can actually have a productive time. Because in the first month they're still learning, and by the time they actually start producing any documentation, it's time for them to leave. I mean, a typical design will take 1 month to do, and you only produce a draft report by then. And by the time somebody can review it for you and give you feedback, it's really time for you to go back. So, you know, you're not sure if it's a learning the right stuff. The second thing that is that liberalism. I think if your learning environment is liberal and the students learn to make mistakes, you find with those students come from that background are much better than the ones who come from strict environments. The ones who come from strict environments, they're too afraid to make mistakes, they don't speak up, it's a real challenge. So that's something that you guys can look at and work on and allow students to make lots of mistakes, as many mistakes as possible. Because the faster you get to an answer getting to a wrong answer quickly it's forgivable, but getting to a wrong answer a month later because you're worried about making mistakes is actually that's punishable. And that's the dynamics that if the kids can learn that, if the university students can learn that'll enable them to really get into the environment very quickly and be productive from the beginning. The second you are worried about being admonished to something, your learning stops. You need to have that growth mindset that you need to have so that you can always keep learning it. Making a mistake is just part of getting to an answer. So that'll help I don't know how you can incorporate into your learning environment, but that's something you can do. Thank you.
Not wanting to be too academic, that's just about changing the teaching pedagogy to having numerous summative assessments prior to formative assessment. So I'm sure Karen is frantically making notes, and that's great. So I just wanted to, I think, put a teeny challenge. If my colleagues at UB are going to be recurriculating and all of that kind of thing, and I've heard a lot about we're moving towards Vision 2036, and what the engineer, although I'm a built environment professional, what the engineer and the built environment professionals need to be at that point in time. So I'm just going to lay a teeny bit of a challenge down to say, and I think maybe you need to have this discussion and this debate. In other words, what does it mean for Botswana? What is it? What do you mean by the term sustainability? So, and there's a deeper message in me asking. It's a bit naughty of me, but it's to say your default position is going to go to the Brundtland report, which is based on the 3 pillars: people, planet, and profit. So there is an argument that the Brundtland report definition is fairly limited in dealing with in the challenges facing developing countries, and that's a separate discussion. But I think the challenge that I want to make is that we've got the profit right, and I've heard a lot of conversation about policy and the Washington Accord ideals and that kind of thing. That you've laid the right foundation to stimulate the profit pillar. I know we've only just got to it at the end, but I heard the issues around the planet. Can I ask the engineering and the built environment professionals to seriously consider your contribution to the people for that? Because traditionally, I think we've tended, and I'm using myself in that, to see, for example, you do a project for a client. I'm talking about a construction project. And at the end of the project, the final account is signed off and you hand the keys over and you walk away. Is that truly sustainable in terms of your professional ethics? If you look at the definition of what it means to be sustainable, I'm not sure that we're embedding as academics enough of that, the people, in everything that we do as both environment professionals. That if we get that right, then we've done a good job, because it's actually the soft skills, which are the hardest skills to teach, in inverted commas, or to facilitate the learning. And that's really tricky. I mean, we certainly don't even have it right at GCT. We have many debates around the coffee table about how to do that. So even from an industry point of view, don't forget the people in your journey. So how do you educate, and even in their 4 years prior to doing their professional ABC, how do you get that socially responsible engineer? Sorry. That socially responsible quantity surveyor that has a true commitment to the sustainability of society in its broad sense within Botswana. I can't answer the question. I'm just asking more questions probably, which is not helpful. But yeah, just be, I think it's my clarion call to say, as built environment professionals and as engineers, we have to be eccentric in order to ensure the long-term sustainability of our society and the people that we care about. How's that?
Thank you.
I just wish to respond quickly to the question to say, for us, first and foremost, we've got a code of conduct and professional ethics where we highlight a lot of those. And the fact that in any engineering work that one performs, they must act responsibly to the environment and to the people. Obviously, we serve, our mandate is to protect the welfare and interest of the public. So in your designs, you should, as an engineering professional, pay attention to those. Be mindful that the public can actually report you on something negative that you did in your project. A case in point, for instance, we had a pipeline coming to Gaborone last year or so, that fed one, and I live in Gino. The moment they covered that pipeline and the first rains, the pools of water along the highway, I had to summon my monitoring manager to say, go and check out who the consultant here was and make sure that they come and do proper soil. I mean, you're creating trenches where there were no trenches, and water pools were there. People couldn't even cross the highway. They now had to go 500 meters further beyond where they used to go to work, just crossing by walking across. So those are some of the things you expect engineers to be able to do. You find the environment in a certain state. The aim is for you to live it in a better status than you found it. Those are the principles that we put in our code of professional conduct and ethics. We want that to also be inculcated in school. The reason earlier I said we are open to come and give talks. So far in the last 3 years, I've sent my team to maybe 2 universities, one repeatedly every year, 3rd year and 4th year students, engineering students. We got 2-3 hour talk on professional ethics. The lecturer inviting us to say, come and talk to these kids before they think about graduating to what is professional ethics that are expected of them when they graduate. So that's something that we need to inculcate at an early stage. To say whatever, even if you are a professional, a seasoned professional, you've got a design which you are doing actually. Ethics should be saying, do it in a manner that ethically you feel gratified to have that product or infrastructure realized. Knowing that you do the right thing even when no one is looking. There's no one doing a due diligence on you. Say you are the city, and you happen to recommend something, knowing that you don't have a boss to do. Make sure that when it happens, you can actually say, yes, this is my product, and I did it from scratch to even though that is not standard practice. And as engineers, we have what you call discipline-specific guidelines. Our expectation on an engineering professional as a technical level, and technician level, technologist level, and engineer level, they are different. And those are inbuilt in there to say what you expect from a civil engineer is the following: how you perform your work, what things you look at, and not to say we expect mistakes at a lower level, but those ones they also have their lane to say this is what to expect from a technician, a technician from a civil practitioner. Thank you.
Thank you. Let me invite comments and questions from the audience now, the panelists. Start with Dr. and then give it to Dr. Ali and then lastly.
Thank you. Mine is not a question, but a comment. We know that University of Botswana is looking at introducing a Bachelor of Science in Quantity Surveying. So these are the things that, as you implement the program, you need to look at the issue of it maybe incorporating the code of conduct, as Mr. Alexander has mentioned, incorporated into the program. Because as you know, the quantity surveyors, they are basically holding the pass in the construction industry. So it's important for them to at least abide by the code. The other thing is incorporate technological changes, technology in the program as well, because we've seen a lot of changes in terms of technology, things change. So if you incorporate it when they graduate, at least they will be ready for the market. So if you include that, things like BIM with QS, different softwares that are currently being used, and obviously with the changes that are coming, you'll have new softwares being introduced in the market. So it's for the learning institutions to make sure that that is also incorporated in the learning programs. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. I just try to put also comment, not a question. So I just try to explain something from the UK and the experience of 10 years in the South Africa as a PhD student, researcher, lecturer, and moved to the UK. So I just see the really big difference. In UK, we are not allowed to teach the students software. We just allowed to teach them how to use the technology because the software is coming and keep changing. If I just teach the students BIM, which is outdated, so how they use that one, how they just use the other software or something like that. And the most important thing is the difference between the technician and engineer. There are a lot of like a competency there. So EXA, they can just give the complete list of that one. It's just like critical thinking, problem solving, communication, leadership, management. So these are most important things. Technology is a tool to help us to just apply this skill. So this is the things we need to do that one. I'm just trying to caution everybody, all of my colleagues in the University of Botswana or in other, African university, do not teach the students software. Don't bring the level of the university down and just teach them the software. Teach them how to use the different technology. So when they graduate, maybe some new software is coming, they're just able to use that one because the principle, the foundation, all those things, they're the same things. But this is the most important thing. Teach them how to use the tools, not give them the specific tools when they come in and say, I know this software, maybe that company is not interested to use that software, maybe the other software. Thank you very much.
I'll take one from the back and then I'll move to the front.
Okay, thank you for this opportunity. My name is Kingsley. I'm a fourth year civil engineer student, and I have one question for, I don't know who will be the right person to answer my question from the panel, but from what I've read, the panel is talking about is the problem of absorption of graduates from the university. But as students, we also are aware of the situation. But as one of you mentioned, we also have interest to start early. just like the Mark Zuckerbergs, starting our own companies and those lines. But the barriers that we are facing is that as beneficiaries of being funded for school, you can't get other sources of fund to start your own thing. You can benefit from the government twice under DTF and YDF. We want to start early to create job opportunities. But the problem is that we can't benefit from other opportunities like YDF and stuff. So I want to ask the panelists if someone can address the situation, maybe the possible opportunities that are available for us. Thank you.
HRTC, maybe you want to respond? Siamisa? Or you can go ahead.
Sure. Thanks, Albert. There are organizations like Angel Network that you can look for. Thank you very much. There are organizations like Angel Network that you can look at, and there are some small little workshops that are organized where there's also LEA, of course, but there's also small little workshops that are organized by potential investors who are looking for upcoming startups. So if that's the kind of environment that you want to look into, you can do that. And you can always contact ERB, ASEP, you can always contact all these institutes. They might be able to tell you who might be interested in your product or what you want, and they might be able to pair you up with somebody. ERB can definitely pair you up with potential mentors that can help you find the right links that you might need in the industry. So, and of course, there's business opportunities. There's a lot of opportunities. I think you need to just go out there into the industry and have a look. A lot of guys want to invest in upstarts, so the opportunities there.
Good day, everyone. My name is Yami Mutusi. I'm also a fourth year civil engineering student. My question goes to Mr. Palmer. So I'm the student whose supervisor called Dr. Dewey. Asking questions about our curriculum. So basically, he had a standard, he had an expectation of us. So as students, what soft skills or maybe hard skills do you expect us to have as an employer? Also to remind, I came to your office in, you remember me? Yeah, we have to go better. So we will be right? Yeah. So what do you expect from me? Thank you.
Before you comment, I'll take another question.
Thank you very much. My name is Dr. Matane. Within the Faculty of Engineering Technology. I'm a land surveyor by profession. Now, the question. As we are right now seated, we are actually facing each other in the eye. And I've had a number of time periods that were suggested. I think it was from Memotei, she had suggested work integrated learning that spans a year. But I think it was the experience. I've heard from the engineer from South Africa mentioning 6 months, saying maybe they even used to like that. And now it's 2 months. So maybe it will be, and of course, let me say also from the HRTC, they have been emphasizing some learning that will also induce skills in the learner. So as such, as we look each other in the eye, I will ask my dear panelists here, because I know they are coming from all the various professional environment related to engineering and the built environment in their view. Because the ERB gentleman has also mentioned the aspect of standardizing and producing a global engineer or built environment specialist. So the question is, what would we consider to be the appropriate integrated learning type? Just from your honest view, and then of course, even the lecturers there, because the ones that are moderating the session, they are the lecturers, so I'm actually also putting that question over to them, so that at least we know that between the industry and the academic, really when we talk of what we consider to be the appropriate timelines for the will to happen, what is it that we are talking about in terms of the time? Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Mapale. We pass the mic to Prof. Roma for the last question before the expand.
Hello, I didn't intend to ask a question, but probably a clarification. So from HRDC, you have a very nice, what do you call it, demand-led kind of model that you use to define your priority skill areas. Very good. So then we have BQA working very closely with you, and that is even your neighbors. That's also very excellent. So the question is this, there has to be a continuous loop in this process. Is there a point where you develop skills, BQA approves these programs or qualifications or whatever they are, and then you sit with BTF as the funding agency representing the treasury, and you tell them this is what we have, and this is roughly what it might cost. And this cost is going to address the gap which we're talking about between the learner and the trainer. Or do we just develop it and then give it to the next person? So that is very concerning. The second thing that I noted, probably you talked about it, but I didn't get it clearly. The issue of supply and demand. So ERB is very clear on you pay us this amount of money, we assess your programs, we come and give you inspections and everything. The problem is we are probably even oversupplying, but we're just busy producing. How does HRDC, ERB, for example, look at the issues or even asset of oversupply? Because when you're saying Botswana's economy is small, you want to export them elsewhere. Elsewhere, there's also probably another problem. Where is this elsewhere? So the question, that is irrelevant. The question is, how do you actually ensure that you have the critical numbers which are not going to bog the country in terms of socio-political issues which are imminent in the future? Because that is very important. Is there a way in which you can create a strata of training so that we don't have a very congested system in terms of so many graduates which probably are not going to be very useful to themselves or even to the country, and we have input money in them. The other thing which I didn't get is the issue of reshaping, but I think this is subject to discussion. And I think the accreditation bodies, both the quantity surveyors, the engineers, and even geomatics, they should not talk of there is a gap when they are not informing on how we should reshape the curricula or the training processes based on what is expected from the industry, because they are the ones representing the industry on behalf. They should bring to table something or some things that should be inculcated in our programs that goes over and above what we already have. And that will indirectly or directly also constitute to what you're calling reshaping in a very bigger picture. So I think I have a couple of questions to ask, but maybe they are questions, maybe they are comments. If you can take it up, anyone, I would appreciate it. The shortest time, I think we're running out of time. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Mike. You can start by responding.
Okay, thank you very much. I think you were three of you that came, right? Yes. they all three came and they wanted an internship. And I said, I don't want to spend for free, and they were in third year. So I said, you guys need a little bit more experience before you guys can come back. So we'll see you next year. But soft skills. I think the most important thing for us is, one, be willing to make mistakes and not be scared of making mistakes, which we said before. Number two, communicate clearly. I think the hardest thing that people find is that they're not able to eloquently explain why they got to the solution that they got to. I had an interesting conversation with my son, and he's 8 years old, and we were in Cape Town last week. And he said to me, why is that in Botswana, we only have one city that looks great, which is Gas? And why do all the other towns don't look so good? You know, in Johannesburg, in South Africa, it's Johannesburg, it's Cape Town, so many. And I was explaining this to my colleagues here that, you know, the answer I gave him was that it's like a monopoly board, right? If you guys all played Monopoly, the more players you have on a monopoly board, the more properties you can buy. There's more money in the system. And there's more money in the system, the game finishes faster, right? The same way that in a small country, you know, we're able to, we don't have the population masses required to have great grand cities everywhere. So we end up with villages. So it's a small thing that you need to be able to explain to a 5-year-old. And your engineering concepts, you need to be able to, that's an economics concept. You need to be able to explain an engineering concept to a 5-year-old. Because you are writing a report that's going to be read by a politician who might not have gone to university, who might have just been out of Form 5 and should be able to understand your report. So if you can't sell the product to him, or if you are doing, if you're presenting to the Kotla and explaining the part that's coming in, and if you can't explain that to the Kotla, and they don't understand what you're saying, these guys who might never have seen, some people have actually not gone out of that village for 5-7 years at a time. And if you can't explain to them what you're trying to, what fiber network means, you know, that is a soft skill that you need to develop to be able to explain to anybody what you are selling to. Because at the end of the day, we're in a business and we're selling a product. The reason why Google did so well is because they made it so simple that everybody can use it. So I think that's a soft skill side. On the hard skill side, I would, I appreciate what the gentleman said earlier, is that maybe it's better not to teach technology softwares, because in my first year, I was, you know, we did the calculus and we learned how to set up equations, right? And we thought we'd never use it again. But in my first year of work, I had to prove that the equation was correct, you know, and make sure that, and then be able to build an equation from scratch to sort of solve your problem. That's one. Number two, I always ask all the guys in technology to do it on technology and do it on paper, and make sure that the difference between the two of them is less than 10%, then they're accurate. Remember, technology is just trying to fine tune it and remove the margin of error, reduce the margin of error. So you should be able to do it on paper as well as on the software. If you can't do it on the software, it's still okay, as long as you can explain it on paper as minimum. I think that's okay, because you can always learn software, and software is always going to change all the time. And yeah, you need to be able to visualize what you're saying. You need to be able to visualize it. It's very annoying with engineers. What they do is that especially civil engineers, you tell them that you're going to design a building, they start talking about what the foundation is going to look at, but they don't know what the building is going to look like. And they've not drawn the GA. You've got to start with the layout first before you can go into the detail. So I think those are the sort of soft and hard skills that you need to work on. There is no silver bullet. Everybody is unique. But I think the person that somebody said, I think this lady here, she said earlier that you've got to be a bit eccentric. Being eccentric is important. And if you think about the richest guy in the world, it's probably the most eccentric guy in the world. And that's Elon Musk. And that's what makes you successful. So I think you just don't be shy of being eccentric. You know, go with it. And it'll actually take you very far. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Maybe allow me to start with the learner's question at the back. I think he's raising a very important point. You know, government, we are sharing the same cage, which is the budget for the country. And it will never be enough. So that's why government will say, look, I have sponsored you through DTEP. let us give chance to those that have not proceeded to university to go through YDF. Or maybe once you are through with the university, you can apply for YDF. That is just meant to share the cake that is not enough for the country. But I think we must be innovative in our approaches because we are facing challenges. Unemployment is not only a national challenge, but a global challenge. In HRDC, I was sharing something that I got from the Chinese website. They were saying nowadays to get a degree or a master's or a PhD, and I'm not saying I agree with them. It's a prestige because there are no jobs once you leave the university. And I hope you understand the Chinese, because they have a huge population, no matter their big economy. And like I said in the morning, majority of the sectors will go for productivity. And they are also looking for more technicians and artisans. But, and I'm not trying to compare BUST with the UB, just get me right. It's only that I know of that innovation. I know BUST what they have, and they recruited a professor from university here, from the Faculty of Economics. I forgot her name. To start the business week, whereby as you learn through the university, please don't think of employment. Think of other opportunities, because we don't have enough vacancies. Our economy is growing very slowly, and we'll never promise you any jobs in the near future. And I am appealing to the university, and I know you are meeting standards for professionals who are here. By the way, I'm not an engineer, so I'll not give you specific examples. I'm coming from a police environment. I think there should be a section in your curriculum whereby we give our learners chance for opportunities available. I agree with you, while learning, so that those opportunities within government, within the private sector, within the international spectrum, they can start searching for them. Because if they are going to search for them when they have graduated, by then it's too late. So it means having a balanced curriculum. And as lecturers and teachers, we have been trained to have that balance. When I was learning how to teach, by the way, I belong to your profession, fellow lecturers, we were told, build a well-rounded student. And it was a challenge because you have to get a balance of so many things. So I think I do agree with you, sir, but maybe we must create that within the university. But getting back to your question, sir, that you were asking for us. You know, the labor market structure is not static. It's so fragile, and it will always change. When we map the skill, like I said, we based on the national plans and the vision. But as you know, we will never have a perfect plan. A lot of the projects that you are planning for, if our economy is not doing well, surely the projects are not going to be implemented. And surely it will create an imbalance in terms of the skills. And that's why we continually review the skills annually. But it will never be a perfect plan because, like I'm saying, much depends on the growth of the country, and the economy is key. Yes, we talk with BQA, we talk with DTEP, but let us know that in terms of the skills, they evolve. Can put money in developing the skills, but if our country is not developing as we had aspired, let me give you an example. We've long thought about leather processing in Robert. I think by then I was still a student also. And we advised the institutions that, hey, it's about to start developing around that area. But if it doesn't start, you can't come back to HRDC. Those are the challenges that we must know. We know that government shifted some of the funds to address other issues. You know, during COVID, we had to change our budget and save Botswana lives. And I'm not trying to protect the government. All that I'm trying to say is we'll never have a perfect plan. Now, what is the best way? We developed a human resource development strategy. And there was a slogan there. It says, realizing our potentials. Meaning, let us not have one potential. We cannot solely say, hey, we're going to play with numbers so that we put money where we would generate people who get employment. My appeal is, let's invest on your education and less do you realize your potential. We have had an athlete who has got close to 3 million in the bank. He is realizing his potential in athletics. So all that I'm trying to say is we are facing a situation as a country whereby we must not base our future only on employment. That's why we come up with outcome-based education. Let us not teach our learners to think of one opportunity, but several opportunities. But there will be challenge in those transformations. Let us help each other overcome those challenges. Thank you.
Thank you, Johnson. We are almost done for the day. I will, a quick one, please. A quick one, Namaste.
I just wanted to speak to the gentleman at the back, to say his thinking is very much on point, to become somebody who graduates and then start a business. But I also want to say to him, it is important to also get your experience. It's important to also get your experience so that whatever it is, so that whatever it is that you will be offering, it will be something that that is acceptable. So I would say to you, the good thing in the course that you are doing, you were saying you are doing civil engineering. The good thing about the course that you are doing is that you have your intellectual property. The good thing about intellectual property is that you can consult regardless of whether or not you have somebody funding you. Being in the industry myself, what I have noticed is that there are other industries where they cannot do anything without funding. They need funding for them to continue. But I've realized that in our industry, sometimes all you need is your intellectual property and your laptop and your asset, and you are able to do what you need to do. All you need is somebody to give you an opportunity to display your skill set.
Thank you, Namaste. I think I'll invite the MC to make final briefing.
All right. Thank you very much, the panelists. Thank you so much for honoring our invitation. The program continues tomorrow, and for the students, particularly, Kingsley, for the question you ask, we have a program for that, which of course is going to address your concern in detail. Okay, tomorrow, please. We are also extending this invitation to others, and the topic for the public training tomorrow is going to be repositioning engineering and builds education in Africa for innovative research and development, employability, and entrepreneurship. Okay, and we have come to the last part of our program for today, and I'm going to be calling on Professor Yasin Omar. He's a chair professor of artificial intelligence and Earth observation analytics for geohydroscientific application. You're welcome, sir.
Okay, thank you very much, and a very good afternoon to each and everyone. If you look at your program, it's indicating Dr. Dirile. I'm not Dr. Dirile. I'm sitting in for Dr. Dirile, who is the head of Department of Civil Engineering. Once again, my name is Yasin Omar, and I've been called here to give a vote of thanks to each and every one of you who's present here today, and for your participation and for the lively discussion. So, with all protocols observed, may I say a good afternoon again to all the distinguished guests, the participants, the sponsors, and colleagues who are present. I think it's a pleasure on behalf of the Department of Civil Engineering, the Faculty of Engineering and Technology, the University of Botswana, to host you here today. And I think this is a beginning of an eye-opening discussion that ought to continue. So this is just a scratch on the surface, but we need more so that we realize what it is that we should do in terms of sustainability and innovation going forward. As you see, there are billionaires being created in China nearly on a daily basis, but it's not because they work in the factories and so forth. It's something that they're doing in the innovation space or innovative space that's making them be where they are. And so you see last week, there are all these heads of the countries from Africa who are all attending or going to just one country, sitting opposite one president, and this president is giving them whatever it is that will being given. So I think that's something to think about, that we want to go in that route for the next so many years to come. And that is food for thought. As a vote of thanks, may I, on behalf of the department, the faculty, and the university, thank HEPSSA project through the UK's Royal Academy of Engineering funding for the generous sponsorship of this particular gathering today, which is continuing tomorrow, for convening these eminent minds to discuss the topic of engineering and built environment and what we can do in terms of innovation and sustainability. With that said, let me also take this opportunity in absentia, of course, to thank the Office of the Deputy Vice Chancellor, Teaching and Learning, who gave us the keynote address today. I think that was also intriguing in terms of how we can inculcate our indigenous knowledge in the sustainability of our society. So these are things that we can talk about. And of course, by extension, that office is also a host of this particular event today. A very special thank you to all the distinguished and dynamic panelists for sharing their valuable perspectives. We have from the Faculty of Engineering, I think the Deputy Dean had left. We have Human Resource Development Council with a lot of information that needs to be tapped for us to go forward in terms of what is being planned as far as our human resource development is concerned in the country. BQA was absent. HEPSSA representatives from the UK and from the project at the University of Cape Town. Very big thank you. The chairman or representative from ERB, the representative from the QSRC, that is the Quantity Surveyors Registration Council, the Architects Registration Council, I think they're present or not, the BIE representative, probably through ERB, the ASEP representative here, the director, Mike Peacehold Consulting, I hope I got the pronunciation right, and I think Mendel Welding and Engineering, I don't think they were represented here today. So I also extend on behalf of the substantive head of department, the sincere appreciation for the organizers from the University of Cape Town, from the UK, and locally, Dr. Labi Dr. Nswene and Dr. Adiwi as the moderators for the discussions, or for guiding the discussions in the right direction and with expertise as well as insight. I think it was a very interesting discussion, like I said, that needs more time for us to sit and really digest these issues of sustainability, these issues of innovation. And enough has not been done, and we are all talking about these issues, but we need to move from just talking to policy, and from policy to driving them down to our training processes. So that is very, very important. And I think that is one of the ways in which ERB and the other registration bodies should think about when reshaping the curricular reviews, the curricular accreditations, so that we don't just look at what the Washington Accord is speaking to, but also what those who are here will benefit from our curricula directly. But that is my thought. In closing, let me express our sincere gratitude to all of us who are here present today for the involvements, the dedication, passion, and commitment to the excellent discussions that we have today. We hope that going forward, we are going to have or create collaborative ways in which we can set new standards and innovative thinking in the area of shaping a sustainable future in Africa. Thank you once again to the contributions, for your invaluable contributions to this particular workshop. We look forward to future collaborations and shared success in collective pursuit of bridging the knowledge and technological innovation gaps with the aim of catalyzing sustainable futures in Africa. So that was on behalf of the head of Civil Engineering Department. Thank you very much and wish you a nice afternoon after this. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much. We've come to the end of the program for today, and we expect you back tomorrow. Okay, yeah, have a nice and great day. Thank you so much.